New York!
I'd like to show you how one suit brought a lifetime of fashion misery to an end. Not just any suit. Behold, a suit made from the finest fabrics, made by the finest tailor, and made just for me, Gary Shteyngart. I was born in the Soviet Union in 1972. The fact that Russia now fields one of the world's most homicidal armies can partially be explained by photos such as this. I moved to Queens in 1979 with little more than the immigrant's proverbial single shirt. And I went to school here.
When we got here, clearly that shirt wasn't up to the standards of America. It was made out of cardboard, I believe. And so the people at the school, the mothers and the secretaries, they all started a clothing drive for me. And that was my first wardrobe. But the kids would also be like, hey, isn't that the shirt I was wearing like a year ago? You know, I came as an immigrant without the proper clothes, and then I kind of stayed the immigrant without the proper clothes.
For the longest time, I thought that I was hated by my peers not for my poverty or poor English skills, but for the essential state of being myself. The clothes were more a symptom than a cause. Around this time, the idea of becoming an entirely different person took root. The idea expanded for 4 decades until it finally led to the suit. When I reached the age of 50, I met a man named Mark Cho. He runs a classic menswear store, The Armory, with locations in New York and Hong Kong. The Armory has been called a clubhouse for menswear nerds. If you're looking for, say, a cashmere waistcoat in brown sugar, you have found your home.
That was delightful.
Thank you.
Delightful. I think the goal was really to help you get an outfit. You wanted to experience what it's like to have like really great clothing made for you.
I was to be initially fitted by the Japanese tailor Yuhei Yamamoto, one of the most meticulously attired men in existence. I was not worthy. After my fitting with Mark on Yamamoto-san, Mark invited me to attend a fabric fair in Milan and the nearby fabric mill where the materials for my suit would be prepared. Next, we would fly to Hong Kong to have the appropriate shirts made by the fine shirt maker Ascot Chang, and on to Tokyo for a second fitting with Yamamoto-san, as well as a fitting for a pair of shoes at the atelier of the master shoemaker Yohei Fukuda.
We did try to take into account quite a lot of things when we put it together. One, for instance, is Gary's chest. Like if you look at the jacket, there's quite a nice balance between the chest and then the way it tapers into the waist. Gary is actually kind of peak-chested.
What Mark is lovingly referring to are the perfect pair of B-cup knockers I sprouted just before my bar mitzvah.
But the way we cut the fronts of the jacket, actually, we minimized this buckling out too much. Actually, that might have been a thing had he been wearing ready-to-wear. You know, to me, a suit should be a second skin. It should be representative of the wearer and hopefully able to tease out the best qualities of him. Because a suit is kind of like a visual language, it's important to get the vocabulary right, get the grammar right, like really communicate effectively with your clothes. And I think also you feel better about it too. You get to be wearing a skin that is exactly you rather than fighting against you.
I feel like I'm speaking a different language when I'm wearing this, but it touches upon some version of myself that never came to be. I never worked for any of the things that my immigrant parents intended me to work as, a lawyer, a business person, or something. But this gives me, without quite going into that direction, it gives me some of the vocabulary. Like I can go into a restaurant or a bar and people think I'm a different person. And that's perfectly fine because that part is still in me. It kind of broadens things instead of constricting them.
It connects with your life story.
I think it does.